I first reviewed the Tidradio H8 about 2 years ago. About a year later, I reviewed the second generation of the H8. In this video, we'll take a look at the latest, the third generation of the H8. What has always attracted me to the H8 was its styling, different screen layout, and advertised 10-watt power output. You can also use a keystroke combo to change the H8's modes between the ham version, the GMRS version, and an unlocked version. For Gen 3, holding the PTT and star keys while turning the radio on will offer a menu where you can choose your mode. Let's take a look at the major differences between the second and third generation H8s. The third generation H8 has 8 receive bands and 2 transmit bands. Depending on how you count them, it receives in the 136 to 174 MHz VHF band, 440 to 512 MHz in the UHF band, the FM broadcast band, the AM air band, and the NOAA weather channels. There are also menu choices to activate transmit in the 200, 350, and 500 MHz bands. The VHF and UHF bands include things like GMRS frequencies, merge channels, and other services found within those frequency ranges. The ham version transmits and receives in the 2-meter and 70-centimeter ham bands. 2 features not found on the second generation H8 are one-key frequency matching and wireless radio replication or cloning. Frequency matching is found on several newer ham HTs. It allows you to use your radio to listen to a nearby radio to determine its transmitting frequency and CTCSS or DCS codes it might be using. On the other hand, wireless radio replication is not nearly as common. This feature allows you to copy your radio settings into another third-generation H8 without using a programming app or CPS. This feature also allows you to both transmit and receive settings using the Tidradio H3. The third-generation H8 has the same menu structure as the H3, so when using the latest firmware in both radios, they'll interact with each other. This does not apply to the H3 Plus, however. The H3 Plus uses a different menu structure, so the wireless replication feature doesn't work between those 2 radios. Like previous H8s, the third generation has 199 channels, Type-C charging, and built-in Bluetooth, allowing the H8 to interact with the OD Master programming app for smartphones. Before jumping into a tour of the radio, if you haven't already, please click the thumbs up button below the video and subscribe to the Gadget Talk channel. Changes to the YouTube algorithm seem to emphasize likes and comments, so feel free to add to the discussion. While Tidradio occasionally provides me radios to review, I purchased this one using channel funds. Your views and use of affiliate links found in the video description really help, so thank you. Let's take a look at what comes in the package. So here's the box that the Tidradio H8 comes in. Let's take a look at what we find inside. First, to power the radio, it comes with a wall wart with US plugs and a USB-C cable with an A on one side and a C on the other, which plug into the battery on the radio. So that's powering it. It does not come with a charge cradle, although there are charge cradles available for it. It also comes with a wrist lanyard that you can attach to the radio, and I've already got the belt clip on the radio, and you can see it screws into the radio, not into the battery, so that's the belt clip. Now, one of the things that Tidradio does, I think, better than many of the other radio manufacturers in this price range is their user manual. And so the user manual is here. It's pretty comprehensive. The font's a little on the small side. It has all of the diagrams for the various icons that you're going to see on the screen, what the various buttons do, how to use the buttons to add numbers and so forth. And then some of the advanced features, including scanning both frequency and channels. And then it gives you a little bit of instruction on using the OD Master app gives you the menu system, and then on the back, as with most of these little radios, it gives you all of the menu choices you have and what they do here in the back. And then it finishes up with a table of the DCS and CTCSS codes. So that's the owner's manual for the radio. Here's a quick power off tour. So let's take a look at the radio itself. It looks like we have a screen protector here. We'll take that rascal off. Very nice. And then on the front, then we have about a 1.77, 1.8 inch screen. The speakers here in this round area. You notice that I decided to go with the crystal color case this time. I don't have any crystal radios. And it's kind of cool in that the LEDs, when they turn on, kind of light up the whole case. So that's neat. We'll take a look at that when we do our power on tour. But here we've got the typical TID radio arrangement of buttons with VFO and memory here, turning the Bluetooth on and off here. And that's just for Bluetooth programming in this case of this radio. And then the A and the B going from the upper and lower choices there. We've got the main control buttons here, go into the menu, exit the menu, up and down to change channels, or of course you can press the buttons to enter frequencies and directly access the channels if you're in channel mode. Over here we've got the push to talk. It's a large push to talk button, feels pretty solid, and we've got 2 programmable side keys. On the back we've got the battery, we've got the USB-C right over here, and then a little indicator to show when it's charging and when it's full. And so that's here. You can get, as I think I said already, charge cradles for this, and here are the charging tabs. I did not get one for this radio. Over here we've got a flap down door to access the K1 connector, which you can use for your programming cables or the little wired earpieces or shoulder mic or whatever else you might want to use with your radio. And then on the top we've got another programmable key here. Most of the time that's going to use the alarm or turn on the flashlight on-off button here. And then we've got a reinforced or a little bit of a knurled antenna right here. Let me take that off real quick. You can see that's an SMA with the male side here. And then on the antenna itself, it's got some flexibility. And then it's this female side here. Just know it's a dual band antenna here for the radio. Now, let's turn the radio on and do a power on tour. So let's turn the radio on. I'll put it up near the microphone and we can listen to see what kind of a voice you're going to hear when you turn this on.
Welcome.
Got a pretty typical voice there. You can see some of the LEDs lit. The case is lit up a little bit here. And so Tidradio uses a display that's a little different than some of the other brands, and I kind of like it actually. Across the top, we've got an RSSI indicator. The radio battery is there. And then we've got, a little antenna icon, high, wide, the number of the frequency, the name of the channel or the number of the channel is there. And then the name is in this little box. So this is VHF call. And if we go to AB, the number changes, and this is UHF call. And so the frequency and the channel number in the top part of the screen, and then the name of whatever you're looking at is in the bottom part of the screen. And then if you have a CTCSS or DCS code, that's in this little box over here. Again, I've already touched some of these buttons, but we've got the VFO. So here in the VFO, I've got a 1.25 meter frequency dialed in. You can turn on to the transmit in the 200 megahertz range in the menus. And then you can go back to the channel mode. This will turn on the Bluetooth. And you can see over here, it'll come on. The little Bluetooth icon will come on. And that way, if you're connecting to the OD Master app, you're able to do that here with this button. I've got a review of the OD Master app, and so I'm not going to go into that in this review. It's available here on the channel. And then most of the time I leave that Bluetooth off so that I don't wear down my battery as much. And then this, as I've shown you already, A and B moves between the upper and lower, and the little caret is down in this little box. Our menus in this radio are listed sequentially. It's not segmented out as many of the newer radios have done. And if we go from bandwidth is a menu 0, and it goes up to menu number 56. So there are 56 menu items here. They include some DTMF stuff. Here's where you can turn the transmit on for these other bands. Here you can see I have 200 turned on here, and then we can go into the AM band on or off. Let's show you how that works. Just press menu again, press up and down, goes to on menu, and then we can exit out of that. We go into our menu, it's going to go back to where we were, so we'll continue on our way down. Scramble is not allowed for amateurs in this country. We have a mic gain adjustment, which is handy. You don't always see that. The breathe LED, I like that because if you have the screen turn off after a few seconds, the little green icon will flash, and you can set the time as to when it flashes, and so it keeps you from, leaving the radio on. So that works good. We've got the version here. There's firmware upgrade instructions on the web at the Tidradio website, and we can work our way through all of these various channels. And so that's the menus and the channels. Here we can go into what some of our buttons are. So if we press a short press on side key 1, turns the FM radio on, and you can type in or scroll up through channels, and then of course you can program in channels as well. Another short press turns it off. A long press turns it into the weather mode. You can hear that.
Which occurred in 1923. The low temperature this morning was 81 degrees.
And you can see that crystal case, when it's drawn, the green shows more than just on that little LED, which is kind of cool. And so that was the weather channel. Go back down here, say to channel 1. And it's our VHF call. On here, side key number 2, a short press. Again, it's going to go into the FM. Another short press turns it off. And so you can program these side keys to do what it is that you want them to do. Now, the last programmable key we haven't looked at yet is the little orange one. So that little orange button here is your alarm button, and it's got some programmability within the various programming options to make changes to that. So you can see here the light went out, the little green light flashed. That's that breathe setting that I talked with you about. And so we'll press the button, turn everything on. And so there's one more thing that I want to show you about the H8 third generation, and that's accessing wireless copy. And so to do that, we're going to press this lower side key over here, and then we're going to turn the radio on. And it says wireless copy. Now, if you have another H8 generation 3, you do the same thing, and then you press the transmit on whichever one you want to copy from. This will also work with the H3, the version 2 H3, not the H3 Plus, but the standard H3, enters into wireless copy mode the exact same way. And then again, you press to talk on whichever of the two radios that you want to be the master, and then it'll transfer all of the settings, not just the channels, from either two H8 generation 3 radios or an H3 and an H8 third generation radio. So that's how you access wireless copy. Here's a look at the power output. We'll limit the demo to high power on the 2 meter and 70 centimeter bands. So here I've got my H8 set to my MFJ 874 into a dummy load. I'm using the 20 watt setting on this. It tends to be a little more accurate, so we're going to be reading the power output on the second arc from the bottom. So here's high power on 2 meters. So that looks like we've got about 8.6 watts on high power at 2 meters. That's not too bad for a radio claiming 10 watt power. Let's go up to the 70 centimeter range now. Here's 70 centimeters. And it's about the same, maybe 8.3, 8.4 watts. So that's pretty good output. Next, let's do an audio test. I'll use the Gen 3 H8 and my older Gen 2 H8.
H8 transmit test. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, test, test, test. Test out.
Test, 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 test. H8 receive test. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. Test out. AA7JM. So let's take a look at the signal purity of the H8. I've got my Tiny SA Ultra here. I've set it to measure harmonics. We're going to use the 146.52 as the frequency here in the 2 meter band. I've got the radio set to high power. I've got a 40 decibel attenuator here. And this little blue line is the minus 16.02, which represents 25 microwatts that any harmonics need to be below. So let's press the push to talk here and see what we get. We're going to let this run through several times to get everything stabilized. The Ultra is measuring a really large frequency band, so we're going to let it go through that to get all settled in and all the data points correctly registered in its memory and on the display. So here we go. You can see as it settles down, some of these disappear, which is what we like to see. And so on 146, it's up at 36.7 dBm, and there are no harmonics at all. That is really good for a radio in the budget class. In terms of programming the radio, the 3rd generation H8 is fully programmable via the radio's faceplate. Like older H8s, you can also use the built-in Bluetooth to program it via the OD Master app. There is also a Gen 3 specific CPS available from Tidradio. I'll link an OD Master video on the end card to this video if you're unfamiliar with the OD Master environment. For a 10-watt radio, the H8 is reasonably compact HT with all the features you'd expect. Is it worth upgrading to from your 2nd generation H8? Probably not. The wireless replication is cool, but it's not something you'll be doing every day. On the other hand, since the 3rd generation model isn't on Amazon as I record this, it's worth a little extra shipping time to order the 3rd generation directly from Tidradio if you don't have an H8 already. The radio firmware is upgradable, and Tidradio seems to be quite responsive to bugs and suggestions. This allows you to have an up-to-date device going forward. Again, if you found this video helpful, please like the video and subscribe to the Gadget Talk channel. Join me over here for my OD Master review and a playlist of my amateur radio videos. Feel free to leave a comment, and thanks for watching. 73